It was months ago. We're talking like 8 months ago that I installed my ski hangers, the gravity grabbers. I never did anything with the footage until now. So, in this episode of the Garage Build Out, I'll walk you through how I built these two boards and hung my gravity grabbers. I'm going to be hanging my skis in this area of the gear wall. In order to do that, I have a set of these gravity grabbers. There's 6 of them in the box there. I'll mount them to a piece of wood up top, and then I'll have a second piece of wood underneath to act as a bumper board so that the wall doesn't get destroyed over the years. So that's the plan. Let's open the box, see what's inside. Cut into the box. Feedback card. Looks like each one comes with a set of screws and drywall screws. And there it is. So those little grabbers just pop up like that, grab your gear. We got a sticker. That will go up on the lockers. Now it's time to do a bit of math. I gotta figure out the spacing, how long the board should be, figure all those numbers out. Here's how the numbers worked out. Each gravity grabber is 8 inches wide. I have 6 of them, so that is 48 inches. Between each gravity grabber, I want to put 3/4 of an inch. There's 5 gaps, and then I want to do 3/4 of an inch on either end. So that's 7 times 3/4, which is 5 1/4, plus the 48, 53 1/4 is the total length of the wood that I need. So I'll get 2 pieces that long, and then that gives me roughly 2 3/4 inches of buffer on either side. So that's enough clearance to get out from the corner of the wall and away from the gear dryer. I wanted roughly 3 inches on both sides, so 2 inches and 3/4 is perfect. Now we gotta go off to the hardware store and pick up supplies. Needed some extra drill bits, and then needed a level, picked up some stain, hopefully that color does the trick, some extra drywall anchors just in case, some washers, and then the wood itself. So I went with a laminated pine. This top piece is going to be for the gravity grabbers. The bottom piece will be that kick plate. I had them cut it for me in store just to make things a little bit easier for myself. And then over here, I have an extra piece of pine. I thought this was kind of cool with a bit of a broken live edge there. And what I'm going to do with this is where I wanted to put my mountain bikes over here, but there's just not enough room with the lockers. So I'm going to do a little coat hanger piece here instead. Now on to the build. The first thing that I did was cut off the corners of the mounting boards. I wanted that angle to match the angle of the corners on the gravity grabbers. Then I hopped outside to do some sanding. I like to round off the corners and round off the edges and make sure everything is nice and smooth. Back in the garage, I cracked open the stain, gave it a good stir, and then gave each board its first coat. I then moved on to drilling the through holes in the mounting boards. These are the locations that will be used to actually mount the boards to the wall. And then I did a layout of the gravity grabbers. I thought it would be easier to get the spacing and everything figured out when it was flat on the ground. I screwed in the top right corner of each gravity grabber to use as a reference later when I actually hung them on the wall. I figured out the top left drywall anchor, mounted the board using that anchor, and then used the through holes in the board to figure out the location for the rest of the drywall anchors. I find it's easier to do it this way so that you know the drywall anchors are in the exact location that you need and there's no messing around with alignment later. I wasn't happy with the color of the stain, so I gave each board a couple more coats. I thought that might make the color a bit more rich, which it did. But ultimately, I'm still not happy with the color, but we rolled with it. I just wanted to get the project done. I finished up the coat hanger by mounting the hangers to the board, and then same process, installed the drywall anchors on the wall and mounted it before standing back to check out my work. Back over to the ski hanger wall, I did the rest of the drywall anchors. I mounted the board, and then I mounted the gravity grabbers to the board. I thought it'd be easier to level them while they were hanging. Pop, 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 and we're all done. I just finished up the install of the gravity grabbers, so let's give them a go. You just grab your skis, push up, and that's it. That's pretty sweet. And then they also have these little hangers on the side for your poles. There we go. That is pretty awesome. So another pair of skis here, goes up. How sweet is that? And then over on this side, I also did get my coat hanger and snow pant hanger set up. So that's looking pretty good. I'm pretty pumped on how everything turned out. That's it for this episode of the garage build out. The plan for the gear wall is really coming together. We've got the gravity grabbers all mounted, the skis are hanging, have the gear dryer wall mount 12 all set up, have my coat rack for my jacket and my snow pants, the lockers are there. In the next episode, I'm going to be building a pegboard and mounting it to the wall over here, just so I have somewhere to hang backpacks and other miscellaneous items. So if you want to check that out, hit subscribe, stick around, and we'll see you in the next episode.